Hello my beautiful friends and welcome back to our channel and today's video where I'm giving you 2 simple, applicable, practical, useful mind management protocols. These are protocols that you can apply in your daily life. Ideally, I suggest that you do one of these formally at least once a day. And if you do that, you're gonna have so much more peace, control, and the results that you want in your life. Let me show you how. So my beautiful friends, if you have done any coaching with me or coaching in general, you probably know that we live by the adage that it is not what happens to you in life, but it is how you respond to it. And with that, we use our structure of the cognitive program, the thought, emotion, and behavior responses that we have to the situations to look at the outcomes we're creating with those responses. Now, when you know the principles of that well, like my clients do, you see how important it is to manage the thoughts in your mind. Manage the thoughts that are creating the emotions that are then producing behaviors in your life. And all of that accumulates to the outcomes. This is why the same people can be in one room and have the same experience or have the same reality essentially, just separated by, 1 seat away. But they have very different perceptions, emotional responses, behavior responses, and then outcomes from being in that room. One person listens to another speaking and sees an opportunity. Their mind responds in a way that sees the opportunities, creates useful feelings, and then the behaviors that flow from that produce more of the results they want in their life. Another person whose mind is not as trained or skillful as the first person misses the opportunity. They don't perceive the opportunity. In fact, they might go so far the opposite way to see that there is a problem in this situation and feel some stress, have a stress response, and then behave according to that, despite the fact that they were sitting in essentially almost the exact same reality, if you like. So mind management is the way that you change from being person number 2 over to person number 1. When you're able to take responsibility for your response, when you develop that skill of your response ability. So what does it mean to manage your mind? How do you develop this greater responsibility in your life? I don't believe it's as simple as just being mindful, right? And this isn't to discount how important being mindful is in itself for the experience of it. And naturally having those experiences of being mindful is going to create changes in your perception and therefore in your emotions and behaviors as well. But I would like us to be more direct in terms of the changes that we decide to make. So not only do we need to monitor or develop the skills of being able to monitor what's happening for us externally and internally by being present with ourselves and present with the environment, monitor. We also want to have the skill and ability to modify. With this information we've got from monitoring what's going on, we then want to make decisions and take action on modifying our responses to contribute to the results and the experiences that we want to have in our life. So managing your mind management is more than just the ability to be mindful, but it's your ability to monitor what's happening in your mind and be able to modify it. And I've taken these terms, monitor and modify, from Professor Dan Siegel. He talks about these as cumulatively being mind sight as opposed to mindfulness. Now, I want to talk about monitoring and modifying in this way because I find them to be the 2 core ingredients to managing our mind, to being in control and directing our minds. So please keep meditating, keep doing all your mindfulness exercises. We can always do with more strengthening in that area. But also realize that doing this metacognition step and making decisions about how you'd like to change based on where you want to be and where you are now. Lots of coaching is this exact work where we look at our thinking, we make sure we like our reasons, we make sure we're controlling what is in our control and not trying to control what's not. And we're being discerning about the things that we do decide to control. Now, even if you were a master of mindfulness, I don't think you'd be able to go about the day in a modern life and purely be mindful and present all the time. We need to be discerning as to where we put our attention, and often that means that we're ignoring other things in our environment. For example, when you're sitting down to focus on a task that you want to complete, you're often not being mindful of what's happening in your body. You're giving all of your attention, if not most of it, to the task at hand, to the problem, the concept at hand. Now we do this purposely at times when we decide to focus, but also throughout our day, we drop out of consciousness and we go into this subconscious or reactive or habitual pattern. And I think we do that for most of our day. And this is why it's important, especially when you're starting, but also on an ongoing basis, to have rituals around your mind management, to make deliberate decisions ahead of time from your best self that you are going to go into a conscious state, become aware of what's happening and make deliberate, intentional decisions to modify your behaviors, your decisions, your perspective, your choices. So let me give you 2 of my key mind management protocols that I personally use and I give to my clients to use as a day-to-day structure for adding mind management into your life. Mind management protocol option number 1, and I'll have both of these protocols linked below so you can download these A4 sheets so that you can start using them in your life as well. So this first protocol is the one that I most commonly use. This is a 2-part approach where first I do a brain dump, as many people call it, or I call it a thought download from the Life Coach School, where you give essentially a stream of thoughts. And you can give this on a particular topic if you like. You could say, I'm just going to take out and see all of my unedited thoughts on my to-do list today. Or you can just let your mind present whatever it presents. Now with this thought download, I add an extra step in here. On the right side of the page, I leave a quarter of the page as a margin. And in that section, I will note any emotions linked to thoughts as they come up. As I am downloading all of these thoughts in the most unedited fashion that I can, I note any compelling feeling that comes up. I'm being mindful as I'm writing these thoughts to see how they affect my emotional state. Now, I don't think I've seen this used specifically in any other journaling prompt I've seen, and this is really important to me, and I think it could be really life-changing for you. If you know the principles of the cognitive programs that I use, this tells us that our thoughts create our emotions, which then create our behaviors. So it's very interesting to see our thoughts, yes, but the way that our thoughts turn into behaviors is if they create an emotional state, a compelling emotional state, that then drives behaviors. So by noting down with this unedited, raw thought download, by noting down what emotions are attached to those thoughts, you can then see which thoughts are likely affecting your behaviors. If they're causing a compelling emotion that moves your body, it's likely to be driving some behaviors in your life. And now, out of the 60,000 thoughts or whatever we have per day, we're now getting a bit of a sense for which thoughts are actually high yield for us to work on and change. So this step 1, the thought download, you write your unedited thoughts, and as you are writing them, you're being mindful of your body and noting any compelling emotions on the right-hand side margin. Now, this is largely in the monitoring category. It can help you recognize thoughts that are getting in your way by causing emotions that aren't serving or creating behaviors that are useful in relation to the goal that you want to achieve or the way that you want to show up. Now, for many years, I just did this thought download element, but for the last year, I've added in this second step. First, there's the thought download, and second, there's the thought upload. And this is where we are getting intentional. This is where we make a decision to manage our mind in a way that creates the result we want, that puts us in a state that serves the behaviors and the outcomes that we want. So in the thought upload, I start first with either the way that I want to feel or the behavior that I want to take. This is my first step. So let's just start with the behavior. And what we're doing here is, in the cognitive program, we know that our thoughts create our emotions, which create our behaviors. So if I know what behavior I want to carry out, I put that down first and I work backwards. What emotion would drive that behavior? And I write that down. And then once I know which emotion drives that behavior, now I find a thought, a genuine thought that I believe, not a forced mantra or affirmation that I've copied and pasted from somewhere else, but a thought that I find in my mind that is real and genuine to me, that creates that emotion. And I take a moment to check in with my body. Does this thought actually create this emotion? So this is a thought upload. Once I work my way backwards, I look at the behavior that I want to do. I commit to the intentional behavior that I want to do that day. Write this piece in 1 hour. I think about the emotion that I would need to be able to carry out that behavior, the emotion that would best serve that behavior, determined. And then I look at a thought that creates determined for me. This is the most important work I can do right now. So this thought is a thought that I want to upload into my mind. In my mind, this creates determined for me. And from determined, I take this action of doing my best work in that hour. My best cognition is recruited and my focus goes towards producing that result. So thought download and thought upload. And the emotional element here is key. And it's what's different to most journaling protocols that at least I know of. So give this a try. So that's protocol 1. Let's look at protocol number 2. So going on to protocol number 2, and we were just talking really about the importance of the emotional element in protocol number 1. Now, protocol number 2 is highly focused on emotions, creating an emotional state that best positions you to do your best work in the day, to show up as your best self, or to fuel whatever task, whatever behavior, whatever outcome you want to create for that day. So protocol number 2 is very simple, and I call this my elevate protocol, because the whole idea is that we're lifting ourselves into a different emotional state that is more useful, an emotional state that is desired. In this protocol, we write 3 things that we're grateful for, 2 things that we're excited about, and 1 thing that we're going to use courage for. And we direct this focus or this line of thoughts to what we're doing in the immediate future that day. The idea is that we get into this emotional state, we practice these thoughts and these emotions so that we can more easily call on it when we need it for the day. I also like to do it particularly in the morning because then I get to ride that emotional state and bring that emotional state into the immediate work or the decisions that I'm making. So using the principles of our cognitive program, that our thoughts create our emotions, which fuel our behaviors. In this protocol, we find thoughts that create these emotions of grateful, excited, or courageous. So this simply looks like writing 3 one-liners of things that make you feel grateful. I'm grateful for this coffee this morning. I'm grateful that I had a good night's sleep last night. I'm grateful for the team that I'm working with right now. 2 for excited. I'm excited to practice being more assertive today. I'm excited to coach my client tonight. And courageous. Gratefulness and excitement are emotions that I have called on and specifically utilized on purpose for a long time now, but courageous is quite a new addition for me. So I make a point to write 1 thing that I'm going to use the emotion of courageous for, or that I want to feel courageous about. And what this does is it gives me a bit of space to not feel total certainty or calmness or confidence about the thing that I'm doing. And this is really important for me and for my clients too, because a lot of the stuff that they're working on is not stuff that they feel completely confident in doing. My clients are highly ambitious. They're not picking comfortable goals. And while we all want to ideally feel confident, the reality is when we have these big, amazing, mind-blowing goals, we can't wait until we feel confident or certain to take the action. We want to allow for some uncertainty, some fear, some doubt to be there and not have that be a reason to stop us, get in our way of taking action. So courage is a critical emotion that my clients need to be able to utilize. It's an emotion that we want to allow and foster and build in our body and learn to act from, instead of having to rely on confidence and making it a problem if we don't feel entirely confident. So each day to acknowledge that there are things that we are going to do with courage, do from courage. I am using courage today to cut down my presentation. I'm using courage today to be decisive about what I exclude from my presentation. I'm using courage today to deliver my presentation. We call upon courage as opposed to confidence in situations that bring uncertainty. And we learn to extract the good from courage, to take forwards movement with courage, despite courage having a little bit of an unpleasant feeling to it because of that uncertainty. When I practice thoughts that create courage for me, and I sit back and actually feel that courage, I'm training my body to feel comfortable with courage, despite the uncertainty and a little bit of unpleasantness that comes with that feeling of courage. And this is really the main benefit of doing this second mind management protocol, to not only be able to call on and bring up those feelings in your body anytime, but also to get well acquainted with those feelings and be comfortable enough with a feeling like courage to take action from that place. So this second protocol is really a very short, fast protocol to do, but I want you to draw out that time to take about 8 minutes so that you're actually sitting back and feeling the emotions. Because remember, your thoughts are really there to create emotions. emotions. And if you sit and feel the emotions, then you're going to get that spillover from your emotions fueling your behaviors. And if those emotions are useful, then the behaviors will likely be productive and desired as well. So my beautiful friends, they are the 2 daily thought management protocols that you can choose between, or you can do both if you want to. They take less than 8 minutes per day each, and they will keep you on track with monitoring and modifying your mind. So you can actually create this experience and the results in your life that you want. Now, if you can see how amazingly useful this is and how life-changing it is when you master this, then come along coaching with me and we will maximize your results. What are you waiting for? Your life will only get better and brighter. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you in my next one.